What's up, everybody? It's Joe from the Acceptable Casualties, here to take a little look at the Battlegroup Barbarossa book. I picked this up a couple months ago. I ended up getting it off Noble Knight Games here in the States, and with the intention of me putting together an early war Soviet force and an early war German force. So the Soviet force is starting to come along right now. I got my T-26s, I got some KV-1s, got some BA-10 armored cars, I already got all my Soviet infantry. It's coming together. I probably should have it done relatively quick, and then hopefully I can start getting some battle reports out. But I picked this book up. Like I said, I wanted to get some more Eastern Front stuff, and this is probably the best Eastern Front offering that you can get from Battlegroup right now until they put out like the new Curse book, well, the reprint of the Curse book potentially next year, maybe some other stuff coming up down the pipeline. So I figured for you Eastern Front players, I'd do a little quick review for you guys that maybe haven't played this or checked it out yet. So like I said, this is Battlegroup Barbarossa, same quality production standard that they have for all their books, like really nice hardcover, and you go through it as well, like, you know, the art and the pictures that they put together for this, it's really, really nice. Like I said, they got like some illustrations in here. The pictures they got through, like, if you guys don't know, I know like Piers does a lot of the painting and pictures. I think he gets together with one of his buddies too, and they do like a lot of the production and shooting and all that kind of stuff. And like the book is filled with that. From a production value, like I said, this book is top notch, just like the rest of them. The book runs about 176 pages is what it is right here. And what I like about this book too, and like I said, same standard as the rest of them, the history and a lot of the fluff that you get from these books is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, like in-depth stuff for, you know, you get the German army groups, you get the Soviet orders of battle for the army groups like North, Center, and South. A lot of details on some of the battles and some of like the some parts of the campaign. So if you just want to throw together like a quick scenario, you don't even need to go to the custom scenarios in the back part of the book, but we'll get to. But like, you just kind of read through here and you can put together some quick little battles for you and your buddies to play. That don't really take that much extra research to throw together. So yeah, there's even more orders of battle in here, tons of stuff. The production photos are awesome too. Like, I just, you know, you look through here, and if you have ideas that you want to get for maybe setting up your table or anything like that, you can look at some of these pictures, like for the Russian villages and stuff like that. Like this one right here, I think is like the best one. Every time I look at this, I always think like some Quentin Tarantino, like slow-mo walk with the burning buildings in the back and the Soviets walking across the field. Like there's a lot of like really good production photos in here. It's cool too. They have the Winter War covered. You got a lot of Finn stuff in here as well as like your Soviets and Germans. They have some Hungarian stuff and Romanian stuff in here as well. Like I said, there's a lot of fluff and a lot of great reference material in here. Like I said, we're on page 31 right now. I'm just pulling through here right now, and there's just tons and tons of information. Like, I can go through this slow, but we'll be sitting here all day. Yeah, so like I said, you keep going through here, just production photos. Right here we'll get to and this is, like I said, 36 pages of fluff, I mean, and history and just reference material that you can pull out of, you know, from regular Barbarossa up to the continuation war. There's a lot of cool stuff in here if you just want to like read and catch up on some of the history. Over here they got the special rules over here on page 37, and this is a ton of stuff for early war Russians. They have some special rules in here for like command chaos and communication breakdown. You know, they didn't have they weren't really ready for the attack. You know, they kind of caught off guard in the beginning. So you have a lot of command chaos, so you don't get as many like the officers buffs for getting your orders, and then communications for your comms tests, they go up to a 4+, I believe, instead of a 3+. So they have like a bunch of like rules to kind of show that for Barbarossa campaign, which is kind of cool. Plus you got the NKVD. I think I'm going to put those together for my infantry for early war. I already have regular Soviets, so I think NKVD is going to be the next infantry thing that I'm going to put together for my Soviets and add that into the mix. But yeah, there's tons of stuff in here for like mine dogs. You got rules for the Finns as well, like some fluff stuff for them for the continuation war. The Russian foe, like how good they are fighting against Russians and their history there. There's a bunch of cool stuff in here behind enemy lines for them. They get ski troops. There's just a ton of cool stuff in here that really fit the theme of Barbarossa. They also have rules for winter, for general winter. So if you're fighting in snow, frozen rivers, all the things that go with that as well. And they also have some of those Aerosam vehicles, if any of you guys have those. I've never seen them in 15 mil. They might have them out there, but I assume for 20 mil because they have everything for 20 mil. They have the options for that. So if you're looking to maybe, you know, get some of that on the table or go out and buy some to get a little more fluff in your games, they actually have rules for that here, which is pretty cool. you're looking at like some stuff here. They got the fluff for the German army, like they have in most of the books. So you have like, you know, all the background for the Panzer tanks, how many were, you know, in the theater, where they fought, and that goes all the way through to like your assault guns, armored cars, self-propelled guns. They got the APCs. They also give you a breakdown of what the numbers are for some of us. I'm one of those people actually who weren't sure, like the 251/2/3, you know, off the top of my head, I don't know. They give you like a full list here so you can kind of break down and see what each one was, what it was used for. So it's kind of nice for like the reference materials on those as well. And like I said, this is all just German equipment. They kind of explain, you know, what they are, how they're using the game, and where you might actually see them in the combats. So like I said, they got a couple pages of that. Now we get to page 49. This is when you start seeing the infantry lists right here. So like I said, they break it down. They tell you what each one does, just like the regular rule book and a lot of the campaign books. I'm not really going to go over that too much. So for the Eastern Front, so they start off, you get the Germans right off the bat. It's Panzer Division Battle Group. Tons of cool stuff in here. You got the Schützen platoons, you got your, you know, your regular command stuff. They got Kreisschützen, Assault Pioneers. Like this is the list that you probably put together for like that more of a mobile blitzkrieg kind of feel. Very mobile list. Good options for tanks as well between your 2s, Panzer 3s, and 4s. You got your 38Ts, 35Ts, all in there. You know, thing of note in here too, and it says it down here, you usually have to have either a Panzer 3 squadron or a 38T. You can't really mix there's either one or the other. So, you know, for you guys that are maybe looking to pick this up and you have a specific one on your shelf, they all play. They just have to run all of them, you know, by themselves. Here's some more cool production photos here. But yeah, you got your artillery here set up, your defenses. The same standard layout as most of the other books in here, with just tons and tons of options for the Panzer divisions in here. Very mobile feel to these list options and how you can put it together. I really like the options for that. I think that's going to be the first one I put together when I get my Germans on the table. Then they also have one for German infantry. This is more your foot slogan list. So you got your basic infantry platoons. You still got your pioneers. A little less options, it seems like, on the tank units. They're more of a support thing. You got your Stugs in there, obviously, to be supporting your infantry. Little less options when it comes to your Panzers, you know, your 3s and 4s and your 38Ts. You don't really have as much there, but you have a little bit more as far as infantry options and some of your artillery and your defenses as well. So this is kind of how it plays out over here. You got some SS Cav as well. Like I said, the infantry looks pretty good too. Like I said, if you're more of an infantry player, I am at heart, but I think when I get into early war, I'm going to be looking to build up more of that blitzkrieg feel, that hard-hitting, fast German army is what I'm going to be looking at. So probably more Panzer. But like I said, if you're more of an infantry player, you still have a lot of good options from the German list here for early war as well. So that was the German stuff. Here's the Finnish infantry division battle group. This has been calling my name. I think after I get that done too, I might go up and start doing some Winter War stuff or some, you know, some Soviet against Finns. I always found this theater pretty interesting up there, even though it wasn't a very prolonged front. It was always really interesting to me as far as like the guerrilla tactics and everything that the Finns used fighting in the snow and in the winter against the Soviets. So yeah, you have a lot of that in here. So you have like the infantry platoons, a lot of cool special rules for the Finns as well. How they all they upgrade the ski troops. If you're doing snow tables, they have like super awesome mobility. They have the Jakari platoon. I think I pronounced that right. I think it's Jakari. So they have your options for this and their troops in here. For your tank units, all captured Soviet stuff. So you got like captured T-26s, BT-5s, BT-7s, T-28s for like your Finnish armor, which is kind of cool in here as well. A lot of your support stuff for your infantry platoons as well is commandeered stuff for like your Maxim MGs. What else do they have in here? Yeah, it was Maxim MGs. It's just like, you know, just random stuff that they picked up off the Soviets when they were kicking their tail for a little bit. So you have options for all of that as well. So yeah, the Finns list is pretty well fleshed out for such a small player, I guess, on that front. But yeah, you have a lot of options to field them as well. Same thing with like Hungarians as well. So you have Hungarian Rapid Battle Group. They have a lot of options in here. So you got like your infantry. It's pretty balanced in here as well. So you got infantry, you got some options for tank units and artillery. This is a pretty balanced list. I kind of like the options in this one the most as far as like some of the smaller players in this, because they have a lot of separate equipment. I mean, it's not like a ton, but you can definitely put together an army that feels like a Hungarian thing and stands apart from the Germans, the Finns, and the Romanians. So you have some options in there as well. And then here you go, you have the Romanian Infantry Division. So like I said, they all have they all have a unique feel to them. You know, obviously the infantry is pretty standard. I mean, however you're going to paint them up is how you're going to paint them up. But like once you start getting into the armor and some of the artillery and armored cars and recce, you're going to start seeing a lot of the different options that you have in there that, like I said, to make those armies stand out from one another. So yeah, I like this in here, but like I said, I'm leaning toward Germans and Finns for myself. But like I said, we'll see how that happens as time flies by. I might get the taste for something else. So here's the Red Army. So this is what I was looking at. What I loved about this was reading through. So you got the T-27 stuff, and like they give you the background on everything. And after reading through this, I was gonna start off with the BTs for what I was gonna put together for my army, and then some of the T-35s and T-28s and put that out there. But the cool thing was, after reading through here, I ended up switching over to the T-26 because I learned a lot reading through this, and it's kind of cool that they put this in the book because you can pull it out as reference material. T-26 had 22,000 tanks, and I figured in 1941. So, I mean, well, they had 22,000 tanks, 10,000 of them were T-26s, but I ended up switching to BT, so I wanted something a little more common in there that I can kind of put on the table and it would make more sense in more theaters. So I ended up getting those. I'll pick up some BTs as well in the future, but I ended up sticking with the T-26 as the backbone of my early war Soviet armor. Same thing like reading through the T-35 and T-28s, I kind of backed off of those a little bit and leaning more towards some T-34s and KV-1s for some of my medium and heavy tanks. And that's the cool thing about this. Like I like this a lot. Instead of just getting like this little like blip about the equipment or whatever, it kind of gives you a little background on it and how many were in the field and how they performed in the field. So you really can pick through, and if you want to get very specific on how you want to build your force, you can pull the information out of here and really put together a solid historical list if that's what you're going for. Or if you just want to have something run of the mill but still kind of keep it true to life, you can pick out of here and put something together with that as well. So I really do like that about how they lay these books out. Like I said, it changed my initial thoughts on how I was going to build my Soviets to how I ended up doing it in the end. So like I said, all the options for tanks, planes, artillery, everything. So the first thing that comes up for the Soviets is the Mechanized Corps. Like this is the first list I was going to put together with my T-26s. Still got motorized rifle platoons, so you can throw your Soviets in trucks if you want to be a little bit more of a mobile force. They also have options for some motorcycle stuff, and then some reserve rifle platoons that don't seem like they're as solid. Then you have your options here for tanks. And inside the tank section, you got your T-26s, you got all your BT-5s and 7s, you have all the options for those as well. All the different layouts you want for T-26s are in here. You look over too, they got options for all the medium tanks. You got your T-34 loadouts, you got your T-28s with the multiple turrets, like the land battleship stuff. They got the tankettes. Like this is pretty cool. It gives you a whole bunch of options for how you want to lay your force out and give it a little bit of personality on your own. What else do they got in here? They got stuff for armored cars. Like I picked up some BA-10s. I'm kind of excited to get those painted up and thrown on the table. I think those will be pretty cool. As well as the specialist units, you got some of the self-propelled guns. You got some of your SU-5s and 12s in here. You got your KV-1s. If you want to throw a KV-2 out on the table, the options in here as well. It is unique, so you can only take one of those on there. But yeah, they got like all the options for your gas trucks with the Maxim MGs for anti-air, 45 mils for your anti-tank guns, your towed anti-air. The Soviet lists are really fleshed out well with a lot of good options in here, as well as your flyers and your additional fire support. And then if you want to run that, Soviet conscript horde, here's your options here for the Russian Rifle Division. And this one as well, like I said, you got your rifle platoons, you got your rifle companies. Like I said, 188. I mean, you can throw a boatload of guys on the table for only 188 points. I'm going to have to do that. Drown Vin and some Soviets. But what I liked about this list as well, they got the NKVD, the Border Guard platoon. So you can get that in your HQ. It's kind of a way, to set up the Maxim machine gun and spray down any guys that are retreating and keep them motivated to stay in the fight. But you also can put together that, a platoon of like your political officers. They're a little bit better trained than everybody else. I mean, they are a 7 and they have the regular rating. And like I said, their battle rating is a 7. They're a little bit better than your typical infantry. But I always thought like the NKVD squad, I always like the way that they look on the table with their blue hats. You know, so if you get them with like the trench coats or like the long coats, blue pants. I know historically people have said they're not big on the blue pants, but usually when you paint them up in the blue pants, they pop a little bit more on the table and they look pretty cool. So yeah, you have options for that. They also have cav as well. So like I said, NKVD, I'm kind of looking to throw together at least one platoon of them and getting them out there. I thought it would be a pretty cool fluff piece to put on the table for early war. For this one, you also have some options for some tank units. There's not as many. It's mostly focused around T-26s. I don't see a lot of BT-5s and 7s in here. So yeah, the backbone support you're going to get for your armor for that rifle group is going to be a lot of T-26. They have some light tank options in there, as well as some heavy tanks if you're going to do T-28 or T-35, but it's a little bit more limited on armor, but you can still get some decent armor support, just none of the BT-5 series or BT-7 series. You got your arty in here, you know, typical, you know, tons of mortars and field artillery and Katyushas. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here for that Soviet arty if you have it, as well as like the defenses. The defensive list is a little bit more robust in this one as well. So that's kind of nice as well if you're going to do that horde and you really want to set up that defensive line against the German blitzkrieg that's pushing into Soviet Russia. It's kind of cool. You have a lot of options in here to set that up on the tabletop. Like I said, engineering support, like typical support units you have in here, as well as some of your specialist stuff. In this one, you don't really have the options for the KVs, I don't think. I haven't seen them in here, and I'm pretty sure they're not in this section. So for your specialist support for the rifle group, yeah, you're not going to get any of your KV-1s or anything like that, or any of your heavy tanks for T-34s. This is definitely more of an infantry-themed list than it is with the mech list. So we get back in this, we're on like page 123 right now. I love this in the books too, man. Like I said, I'm not like the best painter in the world. You know, I'm pretty good for tabletop quality, but it's kind of nice to have this back here because, you know, they walk you through piece by piece to kind of put together a pretty nice, so this is like the basic right here. So it's like 6 steps, and like that's up to, you know, probably the quality, probably a little bit better than I actually paint. And you know, it's a really easy like step through on how to get your stuff looking really good for the table. I'll probably refer to, you know, either the basic or the advanced when I start putting together some of my German armor and some of my Soviet armor as well. So like, yeah, here you have them how to paint like your Panzer 3s and 4s and some of the basic stuff like that, all the way up to master level detail. So, you know, you can take it whatever you're comfortable with, you know, whether it's like, you know, just want to get it on the table for tabletop, or you want to put together like almost like a display piece quality. They have options to show you that. Like I said, you got basic, advanced, and then they have master. So it's kind of cool. They walk you through how to paint it, as well as some of the modeling stuff as well on here. I always like that when they put that in the books. Same thing here too. They got the T-26s. So, you know, if you're on the Soviet side like myself, they have all the ways to do that here as well. So you got your basic, you got your advanced, and then you got your master. So it shows you how to do all that, and they do look really good. And the process and the steps that they lay out for you, they're really easy to follow. You just got to be willing to sit down and put a little bit of extra time in and do it. And like I said, having the layout in front of you here just to kind of use it as reference is going to help. And I might do like I said, I'm not the best painter, but I might do one of these and just put a video out there to kind of show you guys how well it works. Doing this step by step, and then you can see somebody like myself who doesn't have the strongest painting background can actually just read through here and maybe put something together, and then you look on the table and it pops a little bit. It has a little bit of that wow factor. So maybe I'll do that for you guys and show you how well these are put together in the near future. So that's the painting guides in here. Like I said, the tanks look really, really good. So here we got, so this is the campaign, the last line. So this takes you through Eastern Front campaign. You got Germans and Soviets. And, you know, pretty much like every other book that they have a standard campaign laid out with a point system and how you can score it. A lot of options and background as far as setting up the battles and, you know, moving for the campaign along this campaign map that I just passed over right here. Gives you all the rules and how you can lay it out, your force counters, a little bit of background too on like some of the towns that you're going to be fighting in. So they give you like options too for the historical outcome, like how it actually played out in real life. And then you can kind of compare that to maybe how you're playing your campaign, or maybe you can pull some stuff out of this if you really want to do like a heavily themed historical campaign. You can play with that as well. So yeah, it gives you more stuff, like I said, on reinforcements, the scenarios, how you do after the battle, the army list restrictions for both sides, and it kind of plays that out right here. So then you get into the actual battles for Barbarossa. So here's some of the scenarios you get. So you get some of the basic ones like the hard road, breakout. These are some you might find inside the core rule book. But they also have some other ones in here too. So you have like the bridge option, Hill 312. So you have a couple fluff ones in here that are more themed toward this campaign, with some, you know, amphibious rules as far as crossing over the rivers. They actually talk about the depth of the river and the width, and some of the special rules as far as keeping things intact. And it's cool. I kind of like this one too. I don't have anything, but it's making me want to get some of the bridging units, because that's what I do like about the battle group rule set. When you buy those specialty units that you may not be able to put on the table all the time, but when you do put them out in certain scenarios, you actually feel like they have some value and some worth. And usually when you buy these campaign books and they have these special scenarios set up, it's a great way for you to get out some of those models that you have that may not get a lot of table time, and you can put them out there and actually feel like, you know, the money and the effort that you put them together and paint it actually is starting to pay back a little bit, because you actually get to use them in some of these missions, and there's actual rules for them. You don't have to house rule and put together. So yeah, those are some of the Hill. Then here's Hill 312. With the basic list that you can use to, or you can just house rule and play whatever you want. But yeah, so there's like 4 missions in here for that. Once you get to the appendix in the back around page 150, you start getting into the vehicle profiles for the Axis. So yeah, you got like your Germans and your Axis vehicles, the full loadouts. I did pick up a card set for this as well, the early war German card set. And then I picked up another one too that had some of the smaller players. So I have the reference card set as well for like Poles, Romanians, Hungarians, Finns I think are in there as well. So I have those, so I don't have to go fingering through the book. And like I said, and for those of you who don't know it or haven't picked them up yet, I did a review on some of their card sets in some of the earlier videos. For like some of the small peripherals or stuff that I've added on just to make the game easier, those I would literally say are like a must. Like, you have the book and you have all the information in here, but to have the reference cards, you don't need them, but just to have them, it's so much easier, because on those reference cards, you get the full profile of the vehicle, and also gives you the gun profile for whatever you're running. And you don't have to really reference the back of the book at all. And it makes you're spending more time playing the game than you are referencing in that point. And for, you know, $5 to $10, depending on what pack that you end up getting, I think it's the best $5 to $10 you can spend on making your games better and a little bit more enjoyable on the tabletop. Like I said, it takes a little bit of the reference work out of it. So just a suggestion, some of you guys may not know that they were available or haven't picked them up yet because you weren't sure. Definitely look into it. Like I said, buy one for like $5-6, just see if you like it. But like I said, I think if you do pick it up, you'll probably pick up a couple sets depending on what armies you have at home, what you play. So yeah, so here's more stuff. Like I said, all the equipment that you're gonna find in here, German guns for all of that as well. So, you know, all your howitzers, medium guns, light guns, you got your auto cannons, you know, the typical thing that you find in here, as well as some of your vehicles and aircraft loadouts. Same thing for the Soviets in the back. You know, you got the full arsenal back here for all their equipment that they're using. Going all the way through, and then the Russian guns, you know, that list never ends. And you got your planes and your soft skin vehicles. They also have the rules reference sheet back here. You got your book cover too for the chits. So just, you know, if you need to make copies or anything like that, you have both of those here. And then they have the Plastic Soldier Company ad in the back. And like I said, they have a lot of the kits that you'll need for using this stuff too as well. If you're playing in 15, 20, or 28, I think they have as well. Here's like the pull-out rules reference sheet. I already pulled out the chit sheet, so you guys won't see that in there. So they do have the 2 tear-outs in the back of this book as well, and there's some back cover art, and that's kind of the end of it. So yeah, so this is Battlegroup Barbarossa. Like I said, I picked it up. I'm looking forward to get some Battlegroup battle reports with this setup in the near future. But as I said, I just giving you guys a quick peek, let you guys check it out. I hope this helps some of you guys that might have been on the fence about maybe picking this up or looking into it, or some of you who didn't even know that this was a thing. So yeah, Battlegroup Barbarossa, Early War Soviets, Germans, cool book. Like I said, leave some comments, like, subscribe, all that jazz. You guys know the routine, and I'll catch you later.